everybody? What up, everybody? Let's talk about it. It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. This is The Undoing, episode 1 and 2. All right, y'all, we about to take a white flight, okay? Get into some other TV. So I decided to get into some new shows. I got an HBO Max subscription that I'm paying for. We done went past the trial period, baby. So now we about to get into these HBO shows. So this show is called The Undoing. It is produced by David E. Kelley. If you don't know David E. Kelley, he has done so many shows. He's done shows on all the networks. He's had so many shows on TV, like David E. Kelley, the list goes on and on, the shows that he's done. So if you are a fan of shows like Sharp Objects and a show like Six Little Lies, those are all his shows as well, you will like this show. So we're going to briefly talk about the first episode and then we'll get into the second episode. So I don't want to waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into it. We already know it's coming with the cast straight out the gate. We already know Hugh a freak. So this is going to be interesting story, baby. So we meet this family on the first episode. They seem like a lovely family. The father's name is Jonathan. I haven't caught the son's name yet, but the wife's name is Grace. These are Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman's characters. He's a doctor. He works at the Children's Hospital. He's a cancer doctor, honey. And they just have a beautiful family. Everybody seems to get along. The dad is kind of sarcastic. He's really sarcastic, but he's a funny guy. Everybody gets along. The family is lovely. Everybody's great. It's wonderful, fabulous. Everybody's really good. They live in a building in New York City. They're very privileged white people, and they go to this nice, beautiful school. We find out that Grace is on this committee for a fundraiser, and she goes to a meeting, and we meet a new character. Her name is Elena. Apparently, Elena's son goes to the school. His name is Miguel, and he's one of the scholarship students. So they wanted one of the scholarship moms to be a part of this committee for this fundraiser that they are throwing. And so she has said that she wants to be a part of it. Now, what we notice on her meetings with Grace, more than once, she meets up with her. And we notice that she has kind of like a fascination with Grace. It's a little strange. It's a little off-putting. This woman doesn't have any personal boundaries, okay? So the first thing she does in the meeting is that she pulls out her titty and she starts feeding the baby. I said, okay, ma'am. Now, I'm not against, you breastfeeding in public. You got to feed your child, right? I'm all for feeding the kids. But at the same time, you don't even know these people at all. I mean, you just met them like 5 seconds ago. You know what I mean? Like you at a table full of strangers. Maybe you a little cover or something like that. That's what I would do around. Because even though I know it's perfectly fine to feed your baby in public and, have your breast out if that's what you want to have. At the same time, I'm at a table with somebody I don't know. This is my very first time meeting them. Like, I literally met these women 30 minutes ago. I will put a cover on. But that wasn't so bad. That wasn't a big deal. Okay, you feeding the baby. Even if you didn't put a cover on, okay. But later on, she sees her at the gym. And so my question was, okay, well, the boy is on a scholarship. I can see why he can go to the school, But how does she afford to go to the same gym as this woman? They are clearly not in the same walks of life, okay? When she sees her at the gym, she talks to the woman and thanks her for her kindness, but she's standing in front of her butt naked for like a good 2 or 3 minutes. They made sure like it was uncomfortable for you to watch so we can feel the awkwardness of like, okay, girl, I'm a woman, you a woman, you know what I'm saying? Hear you roar, sis, but your hoo-ha is, that thing is right in my face. Like, could you just back up a little bit? Like, girl, like, you know what I mean? Like, sis. So later on that night, she sees her at a party or the next week or whenever the fundraiser is. She sees her at this fundraiser. She looks visibly upset. First of all, she's staring at her. And then when she goes to the bathroom, Elena is upset. She says she just feels lost. She just feels, confused. She feels overwhelmed at times or whatever. And Grace offers for her to go home because I guess some of the men had said something to her, kind of off-putting or whatever. So she says she wants to leave. And she's like, well, I have a driver. He'll take you home. So she offers to let her go home. Now, you don't notice this the first time watching it, but after she comes back, her husband says, well, he has to go somewhere. Now he has to go to the hospital. There's a patient, in XYZ. The next day, we hear news through a school alert that someone has died, right? And so she calls her friend, and her friend is like, have you heard? You know what I'm saying? Have you heard about who it was? So apparently it was Elena. Elena has been found, killed, and she was found by her son. And so You know, obviously the police are going to start asking questions with everybody that knows her, have met her or whatever. So police are asking all kind of questions. And she begins to call her husband just to say, hey, you know, the girl got found dead. You know, the police are asking questions. Just kind of let them know, but everything's okay. You know what I mean? And so at first she's calling. She can't find him. He's not returning his phone call. So when she gets home, she's calling and she realizes that he has left his phone at home and he is nowhere to be found. So she begins to call the hotels, and they're all over the city where he's supposed to be, because he's supposed to be at a conference. Yeah, after he left the child, he came home, they did it, you know, he said he was going to a conference. So she calling all over the city trying to figure out where he is. She asking for him. And so a woman answers the phone, and she gives the phone to a Jonathan, whatever his name is. And Jonathan ain't the Jonathan that we know, baby. So somebody lying, baby. Okay, so we find out somebody is lying. And we did see a flash of the body and looked like she was bludgeoned to death. Okay, so it's something more to this story. I did want to say, when she told her that she could use her car to go home, that Elena kissed her on the lips. And that was just weird to me. Okay, that was just strange to me, baby. And the son is like, what is going on, baby? Okay, what is happening? Because the police have come to talk to her. And, you know, now they want to know what's up, what's going on. And they were questioning her in a very suspicious way. Now we on episode 2. It's called Missing. We start off this episode with Grace calling all the hotels once again to talk to Jonathan Frazier. Jonathan Frazier finally comes to the phone, but it's not the Jonathan Frazier that we know as her husband, and she kind of just hangs up. She sees her son in the other room, and she's like, hey, did you see your dad before he left? Or he mentions that he saw the dad, and he says, well, he just said goodbye to me. And she was like, what else did he do? Well, he kissed me on the forehead, and I think he might have told me he loved me or whatever. I said, well, why is this important? Like, what's going on? And she's like, well, I haven't heard from him. Well, he's like, well, text him. She's like, I did text him. He left his phone here. She gives him the phone, and she's like, do you know the code? And he's like, no, I don't know the code. She says, how was he when he left? And he says he was normal. He was like he always is, you know, when he left. And they start to recall the events, and, you know, the son is like, what's happening? What's going on? And she's like, nothing. Don't worry about it. Just, you know, and she goes downstairs. She turns on the TV, and she sees that the news report is on about Elena. She's saying she never came home from the event that she went to the night before. Her 10-year-old son found her, and she was hit with a blunt instrument. She was bludgeoned to death, basically. So her friend calls her and tells her that kids are upset. You know, they like, oh my God. You know, her son scares a little bit as she gets off the phone. And so he's like, where's dad? You know, and she's like, I don't know where dad is. You know, I don't know when he's coming back. He's not returning any of my phone calls. And, you know, her son is trying to, like, explain away basically what's happening. Said, well, you know, he's usually like this, right? He does this, right? Maybe he's at dinner and he can't get to his phone. Or maybe he's on a plane and they're like, yeah, he's coming back to us. It's nothing. You know, he probably on the plane. You know, he forgot his phone, you know, whatever. He don't have internet or whatever. Don't worry about it. So the phone rings and she answers the phone, and it's a wrong number, or nobody says anything. They just hang up, and he's like, don't worry about it. You know, it's just a wrong number. So they're like trying to psych themselves out basically of what's coming towards them. So she washes her face, and while she's washing her face, she remembers Elena saying to her that sometimes she feels overwhelmed, sometimes she feels lost, you know, when they was in the bathroom together talking. And then she thinks of her son finding her. Like, she can imagine, and we see the son going, we see the son finding the body, and we see the son running away. So she wakes up in the middle of the night, and she starts to check the phone, and she doesn't see that nobody calls. So you can tell that she's like, can't sleep because she's checking the phone, wondering if this man's gonna get in touch with her. Next day, her and her son, they walk to school, and we see that the press is there. Now the police is there, the press is there. It's like a big old mob, and, you know, everybody is clamoring basically to get into the building. So as they're going into the building, the mom stops and asks her for some medical advice. She says her daughter is already tripping, you know, and they said the husband has already turned himself in. The mom's is like, I met him once, and, you know, he just gave me a bad vibe. And it was like, well, how did you know him? She's like, well, I didn't know it was him. You know, I thought he worked here. Child, them mamas is terrible, okay? Them is some bougie, uppity, gossipy women, or basically. So they going on and on about fake news. And so Grace sees the reporters, and she's looking at the reporters, and then we see her in a counseling session. So the guys, they had 2 men that were there last week. The man was cheating. It's kind of like, speaking to her situation a little bit when he's like, I wanted to be dangerous. I play the rules. I'm always straight laced or whatever. So I wanted to be a little dangerous. Maybe I wanted to get caught. She goes to the hospital and she tries to talk to somebody, but she sees a doctor that she recognizes. She goes up to him and she's like, hey, and he's like, hey, how you doing? And she was like, have you heard from Jonathan? And he was like, heard from him, where he's supposed to be? He's like, he's in Cleveland for a conference. And he was like, what's in Cleveland? And she says, a conference. And he was like, listen, I don't know nothing or whatever. I don't know anything. I can't say anything. He starts trying to walk away. She's like, what you talking about? He was like, there's strict terms. Like, I can't say anything. I can't talk to nobody. I'm not at liberty to say. She's like, what are you talking about? What the hell you mean? What you about to ask if you talk to him? And he hurries up and runs up in the building. She leaves, and as she leaves, she's picturing flashes of him blowing up balloons, like being with the kids, And so she gets her son, and then she goes back home to see if he's home, and he's not there yet. And so the dad is there when she gets home. So he's like, what was said? What's going on? She says, I don't know what to tell myself. Like, I don't even know what's happening right now. He was, how have you guys been? Lately, how's your relationship? And she was like, it's never been better. And he was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, make it make sense, beloved. She says, I'm having a hard time, dealing with this. And he says, well, you're going to have to deal with it because you got a son that you have to look after. So she gets a notice that the police are there to see her in the lobby. And she goes down there, and the police say that they would like to talk to her somewhere private. And she says, well, I can't talk to you right here, basically. And he's like, well, we can go down to the station and talk. And so she tells her father that she's going to go ahead and go with them to the station. Her father's like, this is a really bad idea. Don't do this. And she's like, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to go down there and talk. I'm going to handle it. They're basically like, where's your husband? She's like, he's at a conference and wherever. And they're like, if he was here, he would be at work, but he's not here. Well, where does he work? And she tells them the name of the hospital. And they're like, ma'am, your husband have not worked there for a long time, like 3 months. Did you not know this? Of course, she doesn't know, so she's taken aback. And he said the hospital fired him 3 months ago, and it was because of 3 disciplinary actions prior to that. And they asked her, is she hiding him? So now they coming at her real hard, like she's hiding her husband. And he's not at a conference, so is he there? Where's your husband? Do you have him in the house? Are you hiding him? And they're like, do you know why he was fired? And she's like, I don't want to hear this. So they're just giving her all this information. She's kind of getting like a migraine and a headache. She's a frazzled white woman. It's just too much coming at her at one time, sis. I'm joking, y'all. I'm making light of the situation. But I really love Nicole Kidman. She's a good actress, and anybody would be that way if they were getting questioned by the police in that manner, right? So she's just getting frazzled, honey. She's frazzled. And then she's like,
girl, I'm a white woman. Who is you talking to? Okay, what I can see right now is y'all talking to me in a way I don't like. So either you gonna arrest me or you gonna let me go.
Deuces. Oh, but they did tell her that her husband was fired for inappropriate contact with a patient's family member, and that patient was Miguel, and the mama was Elena, child. I said, wait a damn minute. They said, so stop lying. We know you know where he at. And she was like, what I do know is y'all keep playing with me.
Either you gonna arrest me or you gonna let me go, baby.
When she gets out there, she calls her dad and she's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. They asking a whole bunch of questions, child. And we see a flash of Elena and Jonathan kissing each other. Child, she is just wandering the streets, baby, just forlorn, just upset, melancholy, honey. She gets back to the house. She falls asleep upstairs. She wakes up. She digs through all the things in the house trying to find out some information. And she finds a scarf. And she finds some perfume, and she sprays the perfume, and she thinks about when Elena was all up on her naked in the gym, and she remembers it smells just like Elena. See, right then, that's when I would have had called the police. But I feel like this is going to come back and bite her in her ass later because she done put her fingers on her hands all over that doggone, that bottle. She goes over to her dad's house the next morning. She's watching the news about what's going on, and we see the son came in and is asking a whole bunch of questions like, did you do it? She's like, no, I don't know if he did it. Why the police took your stuff? She said, I don't know. Why the police took you? I don't know. So they think you killed.
I didn't kill nobody. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
And they go to school again in the morning. The press is there once again, but this time Nobody is greeting her. This time, everybody giving her the side eye, honey. Everybody's looking at her like, bitch, girl, I heard there's some tea about you, sis. And so the principal stops her like,
Hey, hold on, wait a minute. Hi. Good morning. All right, how you doing? Okay. Go ahead on there, little Timmy. Go on inside, okay?
okay, I think his name is Henry. And he says, listen, I'm trying to get us through this crisis. So the best thing for your child, for you to do probably right now is just to not be here. You shouldn't be here, okay? And she's like, what do you mean? Whatever they told you, it's not true. Don't believe them. It's not true. She starts to look around and, you know, she starts to get the stares. Girl. He's like, listen, I want you to know this is a safe space for Henry.
If anybody says or does anything to him, to let me know immediately and it will be taken care of. The teachers are going to look out for him, but the best thing for you to do, good sis, is to have somebody else come and pick him up, okay? All right, girl. You be blessed.
Then she talks to her friend, and her friend is like, hey, girl, you're basically what's happening is the police are focusing on Jonathan, girl. He is the suspect, sis. They got a lot of good evidence. And, you know, he had hired me one time. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. And she was like, what do you mean? Well, at work, when all the stuff had went down at his job, he hired me because he wanted some advice. Well, I didn't tell you because I didn't think you knew about it. And this is privileged information. It's still privileged information, bitch, but I'm telling you right now, okay? So he said he was innocent. And then after a while, he said they dropped the charges. They didn't worry about it. He still had his job. You know, he thanked me, and that was it, girl. I didn't worry about it anymore. So she says her advice is to tell the police where he is. If you know where he is, tell the police right now. The quicker you're going to stop getting treated like a suspect is when you let them know that you are not a suspect. And so then you need to leave, because once this opens up and this comes out, it's all going to explode and it's going to be a mess. And so she holds her hand to try to comfort her. So it was nice to know that she had at least one friend that would be there to comfort her. So then she goes into an art gallery to speak to her father, and her father is telling her, she's telling her father that there's nothing new, no more information. He says, you need to get some protection for yourself. It's time. This is going to be bigger than you. It's bigger than me. And he says, you need to go to the beach house. And she's like, I have patience. You know, Henry has school. And he was like, take your ass to the beach house. Do what I said, girl. Okay? You need to get a lawyer. Okay? And she's like, I don't need a lawyer. He was like,
Your husband is a suspect in a murder, girl. You need a lawyer, sis.
listen to me. She's like, you know, I gotta go home. I gotta get some clothes. I gotta get myself together or whatever. So she goes home. She sees the reporters. Now they're at her door with the police who are serving a search warrant on her house. They're looking through everything. She's like getting all upset. You know, they show her the paperwork, and they ask her where the phone is. She have it on her person, so she gives them the phone. The policeman is there or whatever. I think her and the policeman probably gonna end up sleeping together at some point. And you know, he says that he wants to help her, and he feels like, you know, she wants to help them too. So she like, don't patronize me with this shit. You know, like, don't do this. She's starting to get the headache. You know, she's starting to get flustered, honey. She's starting to get flustered, baby. So somebody get out the smelling salts because she's about to faint, honey. They taking a brush. They taking all of that. He says, we need the brush for DNA for the crime scene, and we also need it for paternity. I said, why you did that? He did that on purpose. I was like, he did that to throw that wrench in her game, to throw her off her game, you know, and see if something was going to pop right then. And so she's like, oh my God, he out here making babies on the side, bitch. What? The new baby that Elena had could possibly, you know, he could be the pappy of that baby. So they need the brush to get his DNA. She is wandering the streets once again, baby. She is depressed and stressed, honey. She is just floating around. She is just stumbling over her feet. She got a headache. She is a stressed out white woman. She's envisioning Elena and the baby in her arms. And then she sees her saying, please. And then it's like, boom, on top of her head. And I was like, wait a minute, bitch, Jen. Wait a minute. Now, run this back one more time. Did you kill her? Did you kill her? Like, what's going on? I feel like homegirl might have a little bit more to do with this than, you know, we're letting on, because why is she remembering these things? So anywho, we can see that now she's at the beach house and she's staring into the ocean, and her son scares her ass again, okay? He said he don't want to be there. He was getting on my nerves. I was like, boy, shut up. He said he don't want to be there. He says, how long, you know, till they can go back? And she's like, till the news and the police are gone from my house, you know? And he was like, so when things are back to normal, she was like, basically, he like, things ain't gonna get back to normal, and we not gonna get no better, doing no better by running away and by hiding. Like, little boy, shut up. Until somebody call your daddy a murderer at the school, then you gonna be crying and want to come back to the beach house. She kind of looks at the rocks, like ponders on the rocks for a second. I was like, what the hell is going on? And she goes back into the beach house and she notices the bed and she begins to smash up the room. Like she begins to just tear stuff up, you know, and she kind of has a little temper tantrum and she lays in the bed. She starts to cry. But then her son comes around the corner. He's staring at her. And so they come in the room and they comfort each other. They hug each other. So later on, they're eating dinner, and I noticed someone was at the top, like in the loft area, kind of looking down on them. I was like, what the hell is going on, okay? So she goes to bed at night, and she wakes up really early in the morning, and once again, she kind of poking around the house, and she goes to the porch, and she's just chilling on the porch, just sitting there minding her business, and here go her damn husband coming up behind her, covering up her mouth. I said, boy, you ain't shit. Telling her he didn't do it. You know, he want to tell his son that, you know, his father is not a killer, and he's so sorry. And she's like, what the hell is going on? Everything you do is a lie. She's like, I'm calling the police. He's like, give me 2 minutes. You know, I just got to tell Henry. He got to believe me. And so he says that the woman became obsessed with her. They were romantically involved. They were sleeping together. But then she became obsessed with him. And he helped her get the son into the school because he thought that was just, he was doing something nice. But it was about encroachment. It was about knowing what she was doing, and she became more obsessed with the wife. She became obsessed with Grace. It was like she was possessed. He said he was scared for them. So he said he went over there. He confronted her after the show, after he had found out she had got into this group and, you know, basically went to the gym and all of that stuff. So he went to confront her after the event that night. So he went there. He confronted her. He says they argued. They had sex, you know, whatever. So he said, I left. I went to go get a drink. You know what I'm saying, to get myself together, and I went back to confront her, and when I got back there, she was dead. Okay, she was dead. And so his wife was like, you a liar. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe nothing you say. You pretending you working at this job. You pretending that you a good husband, and you a liar. Like, I don't believe you. And so the son comes out by this time, and he's like, Dad, and he runs over to hug him, and while he's hugging, homegirl calls the police. Grace called the police like, I am Grace, and this man is out here. I don't know what he gonna do. I am scared for my life, baby. Police, come and get his ass, okay? And if I was her, I would be doing the same thing, because ain't enough love in the world, baby, that's gonna make me hide you from the police when you was lying to me about everything, okay? It'd be different if they was just accusing you of murder, but you done lied about everything, sir. So chances are, you had something to do with it, her son had something to do with it, or she had something to do with it. I'm leaning towards it's one of them three that done killed Elena, okay? And it could be the son, who knows? They could throw it in like that. But overall, I thought these first 2 shows were very good. I want to hear what you guys thought about the show. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, the show is called The Undoing and starring Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman. It's a good show so far. If you like sharp objects, if you liked Big Little Lies, if you liked Little Fires Everywhere, this is that kind of show. You're going to enjoy it. All right, I'll holler at you guys later.